All right. Come on in. 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 Let's talk about it. Come on in, everybody. We got a special guest. And look, we're going to continue to talk about this USC football team, the expectations, the optimism, all of the good stuff, man. We got a special guest, Kendall. Kendall, what's the word?
Man, it's good, man. I'm glad to be on. I was saying, man, you're the legend around here. Everybody knows USCJ. That's where you get your news, man. We're just giving the people the collab that they've wanted for a long time. So I'm excited to be here.
Absolutely, Kendall. Hey, well, look, I want to tell you this on this channel, man. I absolutely love your work, love what you do, man. I'm constantly, periodically, I'm putting out, retweeting some of the things that you do, man, and just the commentary that goes along with it. For those who don't know, as you guys come in, Kendall works with SI as a USC writer, as well as doing production with the NFL Network, man. So I appreciate him for coming in. But look, we got to get into this team, man, because there are high expectations, man. And every year, I think, Kendall, a lot of people, they say that we kind of pump them up, man. But and I love some of the things that I've heard you say in the past, because this team is legit in the past, but
hmm
I don't think we had the coaches maybe to kind of compensate for that, man. So overall, your thoughts, is the optimism real? That's what we kind of want to go and start with as it relates to this team.
Yeah, 100%. I think, like you brought it up, I feel like they've kind of. It's been like a obviously this thing hasn't happened in the timeline that people wanted, right? You see the and how quick that was, and Miami's kind of on the same timeline because Cristobal came in at the same time as Lincoln Riley, but like I don't think there's ever one formula for college football it should look like to get to the top. Everybody's done something a little bit different. With USC, like it again, it hasn't been necessarily the timeline that people have wanted, but it seems like now they put like everything in place, right? The coaches
Right,
that they've hired, Coach Reed last year, he was a big hire for them. Coach Savage last year, same thing, like in his impact, what they do on the field and the recruiting. And then this past year, right, it's Patterson, it's Eckler, it's
right.
Gonzalez, it's Carter. And then the most underrated one is probably Coach True, and we're kind of
Oh
seeing some
man,
of the effect on just
yeah,
the players. Just look different this year, and they've kind of put it all together. Their recruiting is on point, starting with Bowden and that staff. Their NIL collectives are on point.
right.
It just feels like now they kind of have the talent that they haven't in years past, and now not only just the talent, but the coaches that can develop that talent, because they've had good recruiting classes in the past, but it always just seems like their players have kind of like leveled off a little bit. They just haven't got as much out of them as you would hope so. But now,
Right.
like it's from what I've seen, especially from the coaches this year, is like, and I keep bringing this up. I keep using the term that they're teachers, right? It's an
Yes.
emphasis on the details on everything. They're doing drills, and the people will look at the drills and be like, "That's basic, that's simple, right? Why do they keep doing that?" Well, that
Mhm.
seems like what they've been missing for the past couple of years, right? On defense,
Right.
they're
Right.
misaligned. Their technique is off. There's always the little stuff that's not there. And now that they have it, right? And again, I go back to it again. They have the talent. Now they have the coaches. Patterson has a great resume when it comes to player development. So does Eckler. So does Gonzalez. They've never had players like this. They've never had
Oh
these
man.
4 and 5 star players, and
Right.
just the raw talent is there. They have it. Now they're getting developed, and it's exciting what's happening right now.
Man, it's big time exciting. I'm gonna get into some of that stuff that you were just kind of making reference to, especially with, because I got some clips that I put up of Paul Gonzalez, as well as Sam Carter and Gary Patterson, how detail oriented they are with their team. But I feel like, and I want to know your thoughts on this. I feel like Lincoln kind of got a bad rap, especially when I feel like he made an asserted effort every time that he recognized the need. He went out. He got Alex Grinch. He's out of here now. And
Mhm.
then, of course, we brought Deanton Lynn. But I feel like you hear these chants about Lincoln Riley and some of the things that I guess the fan base are not necessarily happy with. He tried to make a change, and you've
Mhm.
seen it every year. So like, what are your thoughts on that as far as? And you mentioned some of that too, but what are your thoughts
Mhm.
on as far as him getting maybe a little bit of a bad rap as it relates to that?
I think the big thing, and I use this as there's right. So again, I'll use this. Brian Kelly came in the same year as Lincoln Riley did in 2022. I think the
Right,
big difference between the two is, especially the players, they love Lincoln Riley, especially the recruits. They
right,
love Lincoln Riley. I think the public's perception, and this is why I never pay attention to that, and the players'
absolutely,
perception of what they say about Lincoln Riley, they use the term father figure. They say he
right,
cares about them off the field, this and that. And again, like obviously that's not the football stuff that people want to want. But
Right.
there's the buy-in within the program, which is the most important part of that, is that they
Absolutely.
believe in him. And I think we saw it last year with LSU. I don't even remember the Texas A&M game. That team just
Yeah.
quit on him, on Brian Kelly.
Yeah.
They were winning at halftime, and they
Yep.
just flat out quit on him. They gave up on him. You're never going to see that with USC with their players. And I think also the big part is they have they're working in unison from Cohen to Bowden to Riley, and especially Riley has the support of the administration. And I think that's
Right.
the big part of it, that you see some of these coaches. Franklin lost it at Penn State. Kelly lost it at LSU. That hasn't happened at USC, which is why he's kind of getting a little bit more of a runway. And like you said, they're making the changes, right? He recognizes when something isn't right. He goes and gets Chad Savage last year. They're not recruiting Southern California at all. Who do you go
Right.
get? You get the 24/7 best West Coast recruiter, and that's Chad Savage. You need to be a little bit better at corner, especially technically. Who do you go get? Coach Reed. You need to be better on special teams, right? We saw the Notre Dame game and the Oregon game, right? The Oregon, they gave up the punt return. Notre Dame, they gave up the kick return. Those games made a bit, again, who knows? Maybe they would still have lost the game, but it may be a little bit different if they don't have those specific plays. Who do you go get? You get the
Right.
best special teams guy, Coach Eckler. So they continue to recognize year after year what they have and what they don't have, and they keep plugging it in. And again, like, it just feels like this year they really have everything in place.
Man, they got everything in place. And to your point, I've had booby feet. I've had about 11 guys from the 26 class on here, guys from the 25 class, and then couple of parents from the 26, and they all kind of echo the same thing that you echoed just now, as far as everybody loves Lincoln Riley. And I think the fan base is totally different from, like you said, players think it's like a night and day type of thing. Even B
Mm-hmm.
Shaw, I have B Shaw come on here. He come on once a week throughout the season, and he said it on here about how they love Lincoln Riley. And I think, to me, that speaks more to the character, I guess, of Lincoln Riley, and how he's
Mm-hmm.
able to relate to the players. And that's why, yes, the NIL, all that stuff is in play. But I think that when you talk about recruiting and wanting to play for somebody, you got to have those type of attributes as well, and in order to be relatable. So no, I totally agree with you. Anything you want to say on that? Else you
Yeah,
want to say on
they
that?
you commit to coaches. This is the big thing with recruiting. You obviously, the university is the big part of it. This is your everyday life and all that. But for the most part, for players, you commit to your coaches, right?
Right,
It's your position coaches, it's the head coach, it's the relationships that you build throughout the process, right? The school, I don't want to say that's a secondary, but it's in addition to, right? You get the
right,
benefits, especially with USC, the education, the business part of it, and everything that comes with being in LA. But
right.
just overall, speaking of my recruiting, you commit to the coaches and the players. And I know for me
Absolutely.
personally, just being around, like, I like Lincoln Riley. As again, I don't know him in depth. It's only just from a media to a coach perspective. But I like Lincoln Riley. I like what he, again, I especially just love with the way the players they talk. That's the big thing for me. The way that they talk about him is, again, I never pay attention to the public is saying or their perceptions or what's happening on social media. It's irrelevant because that's not the true story, and we get the true story from the players.
Absolutely. So I want to get back to something you kind of touched on, man, and that is, and you're a reporter, you're there sometime for the practice, and I know they close it up at a certain time, but and you can talk
Mhm.
about what you can talk about, and then what you can't talk about. But what is the noticeable difference from what you've seen from this year as practice opened up, as you see it, and the things you observe? What would you say would be the major differences from what you see thus far as especially as it relates to improvements?
Yeah, I'll start. I mean, the size. I think that's the big part of it. I think I brought it up. It's like the teams that are at the top of college football, and the teams that are in the playoff are like, there's just like a different feel to them, right? They just look a little bit
Right.
different to the teams. This year, like, we saw them. I remember just that first day when they came out to practice, and I was like, my goodness, they just look
Yeah.
different. And then the same
Yeah.
thing. Who is it? The first person that like caught my eye, I was like, I saw Elijah Newby. We were on campus in
Oh
February,
my God.
and I saw him walk by, and I was like, I couldn't believe it at first. I was like, I didn't know. Like, I was like, I saw it because they had the numbers on because they're going through workouts, and I couldn't believe that was him. And I was like, they're so much bigger. Same thing with Alex Graham. I don't know, especially again, the specifics of what they're doing, but it's obviously working because Alex Graham looks very, very different from when he walked off of the field at Alamo Bowl to what he looks like now. It's vastly different. He's like, when I look at him, so I used to cover Alabama, and I saw a lot of Brian Branch and Malachi Moore. and kind of their
Right.
impact on nickel and what they did. And he reminds me of them from
Right.
a physical standpoint and what he looks like now, and then what he can do on the field. Same thing with King Miller. King Miller looks a lot body this year. It's a lot of those guys. So
Yeah.
that's the number one thing that stands out to me. And again, I it's the teaching part of it that always was going to stand out to me. And this is the emphasis on it. So every year, every practice, they start off with special teams, and
Right.
every coach is involved. They're all doing it. All the players are doing it. All the coaches are coaching it up. Even Lincoln Riley. Lincoln Riley's pulling guys aside. He's coaching them up. He's showing them like this is what it should be like. So like it's just a buy-in throughout, and you can just kind of feel that around everybody.
Man, I'm loving what I'm hearing. As far as from the brotherhood and the chemistry aspect, what do you see in that aspect of it? Do you see like a special attribute as relates to that?
They just again they brought it up last year. Lake McCree and Eric Gentry, obviously they're both gone. They brought it up a lot last year about just how close they were. Right? It was like because those guys have been around. They've been around. Lake McCree was around for 5 years. Gentry was there from when Riley came in 2022, and they talked about just like how close the team was and how much they bonded off the field. And you can
Right.
kind of feel that again this year. Like it's just like
Yeah.
kind of this is the standard. And I think a lot of that has to do with I think one having a lot of Southern California kids on the roster. The fact that they
Yeah.
all know each other, I think that part is huge. I remember Zacharias Williams talked to he was like, what's it called? He's like, we were asking about the young receivers, and he's like, I know all of them. I played against
Right. Right.
yeah, they're like he's 24 and then these kids are 26. He's like, I played against all of them. I know who they are. Same thing. Jordan Hicks was on he's a 2028 kid, and he was on campus, and I was talking to him, and he's like, we all played against each other. Like I know all the kids from Santa Margarita, I know all the Sierra Canyon kids. And I
Yeah.
think you kind of feel that a little bit around the team that there's just a certain bond around them. And again, I think the big part, so we all know the rule that Bowden implemented, right? That once you commit, you can't go anywhere else. And I think that's important for one, just keeping the class together, and
Absolutely.
two, they really used it as the opportunity to get acclimated with the program. So instead of taking visits to other schools, they kept going back and back to USC. I know like Rock Hill's from Ohio, and I think he was out here like 3 weeks in a row, like 3 weekends in a row. Right? He did his
Absolutely.
official visit. He just kept coming back. He went to the summer camps. He was here when Ryan Lott was on campus. Same thing with Jonas Williams. He was here for like 3 weeks in the summer from his official visit to the Elite 11. So they were very, very acclimated with each other, all of them as freshmen. And again, they all came out to the games multiple times a year. And you can just kind of feel that, right? It's not like, oh, let me get used to them. It's like they showed up in January last year as far as a brotherhood or left off, and you just kind of feel that a little bit around them.
No, man, I totally agree with you, and I think I'm kind of sensing that, and even with Lincoln Riley, maybe it's just me. I don't know. When I look at the press conference, it just seems like it's a quiet confidence. I don't know if you can see that at all, or I don't know if you feel that at all. Does Lincoln seem like a little bit different as far as the confidence is concerned?
No, I don't. I'm not gonna say he's different. I think he knows what they have. I think
Right.
I think you're obviously not trying to hype it up too much, especially in March, this early in March. But I think you kind of feel it around him. They're like, yeah, we have some different kind of kids on this roster, and we're
Right.
actually like, bringing them to a different level. So I think you can kind of feel that a little bit. And it's just, I mean, it's echoed throughout the players and the assistants. Like you just kind of feel that it's like we know what we have. The country's kind of running us a little bit. We're just going to let people talk and let it be, and
Yeah.
we'll just show up in the fall. You
Yeah.
definitely do feel a little bit that there is a little bit more confidence going on.
No doubt. No doubt. Now, Gary Patterson, he's the new commander in chief on defense now, man, and
Yeah.
I know you had the opportunity to take a look at him and just how he's moving and operating from a teacher standpoint. You kind of mentioned that earlier. I had a clip on here. I showed Gary Patterson, but one of the things I said to him here on this channel, I said you can kind of see it. It's just not just yelling and screaming. I think I did a video today talking about that. I said it's not just yelling and screaming, but it's actually like he's planting his foot in the ground, really showing these guys from a technical standpoint what to do, how to do it, and making sure they get it right, man. Like, what are the details that you've seen thus far in Paul Gonzalez, all of these guys, when you're talking about these guys now learning?
Patterson's a game changer. That's a game changing hire. It's
Yeah.
you got this Hall of Fame coach with a great resume, and again, we brought it up, kind of his history of player development and kind of the guys that they didn't have necessarily at TCU, right? I mean, Jerry Hughes was a former, he was a running back in high school, and he made him an All-American first-round pick at defensive end. And he brought up Jason Verrett, who was a 150-pound JUCO kid, and he ends up being an All-American and first-round pick.
Yeah.
And again, I think the big thing with Patterson too is like you can feel how excited he is to be back on like a full-time staff. Like he walks to practice and he has this like extra pep in his step.
Yeah.
He's smiling. He comes over like in between like drills and stuff like that, and he says hi to the media. How's everybody in that? And you can just felt like he's excited to be back into coaching. Like you're a football coach through and through, right? For however long you do it. And he's 66 years old. And he just loves being back in it. And the thing with him is like he has his hand. You brought it up, every single position group. He's not just like an observer. He's like actively coaching every single position group. And again, I brought up he's 66 years old, and he's like showing the guys like what it should look like. He's like with the defensive ends. I think there's a clip that 24/7 put out. He's like with the defensive ends, and he's showing like Shelby and Crawford like this is how it should be done. And he's doing the same thing with like Alex Graham, the defensive backs, like as like again like to the best of his ability, like this is what it should look like. And I think like that just like is just excitement of being around it. And I think the big part of it is it's not like him overshadowing other coaches. It's like them working in unison. So he comes over, defensive backs is his specialty. So he spends a lot of time, especially with Gonzalez and Carter. And it's not like, oh, let me step in and interrupt and I'll run the like the three of us are working together. We're in unison. I think that's when you start to maximize your roster a little bit. When you have not necessarily different voices and stuff like that, it's being echoed throughout from all the coaches. And it's just like he just has his hand on every single thing. And again, I just keep bringing up, we know what he can do with player development. He's got some phenomenal talent that he's never had before. He's already talked about the size of the defensive line, just the level of athletes that they have at USC that he's never seen before. And they're really taking advantage, especially of the early enrollees, that you have this winter period that they already went through. They did all the walkthrough stuff. They're here in the spring. They're going to finish in early April. The reason that they're doing that too is pretty much their whole team's on campus, right? I mean, 32 of the 35 freshmen are already there, and there's no spring transfer portal period. So everybody that's on the roster is going to be there. Obviously Feaster and Roderick and Malik Brooks will join them in the summer, but this is what they're going to work with. So like, let's get started now. Again, that goes back to how acclimated, because they've been around, we can kind of hit the ground running, and then they'll be done at beginning of April, which gives them, before they go out of school, another month of extra lifting, more meetings to get acclimated and talk about, like, by the time they get to fall, these kids aren't going to be freshmen anymore. They've just been around so much. You've gone through 4 rounds of meeting, 4 rounds of lifting. They're soft, you want to call it, like they're ready to go. And I think everything that they're doing right now is very, very detailed, and there's a reasoning behind it.
No, man, that's some good stuff. When you talk about Gary Patterson, how detailed he is and how much of a pep he has in his step, and then his overall discipline, where he's came from, the success he's had, College Football Hall of Fame, iron sharpen iron. How do you feel, and how do you think this will maybe sharpen Lincoln Riley and maybe bring Lincoln Riley's a good coach, but bring him up just a little bit more to what he already was?
The question that we've always had with Lincoln Riley, especially since he started Oklahoma 2017, is like, what would it look like if he had a defense that was just good enough, right? It's like if they can get just a couple stops, like maybe he probably wins a national championship at Oklahoma when he's there, if they can kind of get off the field a little bit. Same thing with obviously Caleb's year and this past year a little bit. It's like if they were just like good, especially in the big games, right, is what I'm talking about. It's like if they were just like good enough. The thing is, I think they'll be a lot better than just good enough, kind of what we've been looking for. They have a chance to be elite. And I think
that's what we got to move to that too. We got to talk about that. Your real optimism. Yeah.
It's just they got the staff in place, and I think they're just, again, like they're all building each other up, and that kind of just trickles down to the players.
So and I agree, before we get into how good they'll actually be and how good you think they'll be and your realistic expectations, I want to talk about some of these freshmen.
Yeah.
And, this is one of those classes. I mean, we won't know until they actually get there if this is one of the best classes ever. But I'm already penciling them in and pin them as the best class ever. If I were to ask you, say, Kendall, how many freshmen on defense and how many freshmen on offense do you think have an opportunity, real opportunity, not just USCJ, because everybody think they say J or Homer, but
Yeah.
real opportunity to actually start. I want them to hear it from you and what you think.
Yeah, so there's obviously a high number of them I think that can contribute.
Right.
Starting wise, okay, I'll start on offense. Bowman, I think we can kind of pencil him as a starter. I think for what what his ability is, and then
Yeah.
also what they're, we'll be honest, what they're paying him. We all know it's a high number, and you're not bringing in somebody that high of a number not to play and not to have a big role.
I think he
And again,
might have.
I want to
Okay.
see I want to see Breck starts in one of the offensive line positions. I'm very, very high on him, especially on the interior. Whether
Brett
it
Collier?
probably, yeah, it
Wow.
probably, yeah.
Yeah.
He's a they really lucked out with having, they didn't, I'm not saying lucked out. They had the luxury of having most of their recruiting class in place heading into the
Right.
summer. So which allowed them to really zero in on specific targets, Feaster, Wayful, and then Collier. Having that done, they were very, very invested on bringing him in. And Zach Hanson has raved about just his mentality and stuff like that. Like he's like an old school, like Big Ten offensive lineman. He's
Right.
like those guys that like Miami had this past year. Those country dudes that they have in Iowa every year, in Georgia, and all these kind of big time schools. Like he's that mold, and he's now. And it's like, I mean, he's got the size. I mean, he's 6'7", 320. Like he's massive. Again,
Man, that's
seeing him in
crazy.
person. Yeah,
Yeah.
he's like physically ready to go now, so he can plug and play. The receiver part becomes really, really interesting, right?
Mm.
Obviously, Tanuka is going to start. Terrell Anderson is most likely and should be the favorite to start as the other
I
outside
think so.
position.
Absolutely.
I'm very, very high on him. He's a tremendous athlete, especially just seeing him in person. He's also like a lot, I didn't think he was small, but he's a lot bigger in the upper body than
Right.
what I thought. Maybe again, that's part of Coach True also. And
Right.
him having been here for a couple months. He moves good. He's got good hands. He's a former top 100 recruit. He's got the experience. Is the big thing that they did in the transfer portal this year is bringing in guys that have actual experience at the Power 4 level, so you can kind of plug and play him there. And then the inside receiver spot, I'm going to say I think everyone's sleeping on Zacharias Williams right now. I think he's kind of falling under the radar.
Right.
Remember like how big they really were on him. And I think them bringing him back was huge, which also speaks to what they believe in him. He missed pretty much all of last year. I mean, there's nothing you can do about that, right? He missed 2.5 months of
Right.
the season, and then he wasn't here in the spring, so he really never. It's hard to pick that up in November, especially in crucial moments. But I think he's a guy that we're all really sleeping on, and he can be a really good receiver for him. But obviously, Mosley's going to push him,
Man.
and I've heard nothing but fantastic things from the moment Mosley walked on that practice field and what
Same
he can
here,
do.
man. I've been hearing some crazy stuff, man.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
going to be, he could end up starting. And again, I'm not going to count out Zacharias Williams for sure, but he can end up pushing him. And then obviously we know the guys on the outside, Kaden Dixon Wyatt, Booby Feaster is going to be here in the summer. I
Yeah.
don't think that they start, but they definitely will have I think the big thing this year is that they'll have an expanded rotation, right?
Yeah.
Versus previous
Yeah.
years, it was more like 4 or 5 guys that they use, really more 4. And a lot of that was to keep Lemon and Lane on the field. But previous years before that, they used about 6 to 8 receivers in the rotation.
Absolutely.
I think
Right.
they're going to have more of that this year, so that's going to get those guys involved. Defensively, I don't know. Everyone's going to say Wayful, right? And I don't know if Wayful starts from week 1 is what we're kind of talking about right now. I don't know if he starts from the beginning. Crawford has had a very good spring. I still like what Braylon Shelby can do and his veteran experience, and just he's long. He's very, very long. I think he has a
Right.
lot of he can do a lot. Again, maybe Wayful ends up starting at some point, but I don't know if it's necessarily going to be week 1. I don't know. Again, I don't think any of them end up starting on defense from day 1 is what we're talking about. Obviously, there's names to look out for. Rock Hill has been excellent. He might be my favorite person I've watched as far as a freshman
And
come on campus this year.
his feet work is crazy, man.
Mm,
Like I don't know
man,
how
yeah,
I mean, like that to be that developed as a freshman is just I don't know. The cornerback spot's gonna be a battle, you know.
yeah.
You know.
It's better. Yeah, it's better than really interesting at that position.
Yeah.
Guy to watch out for, again, I don't think he necessarily starts. I think obviously it's going to be Walker and Stevens, but again, as like a depth piece. We saw Matai do it a little bit last year, right? I think Talanoa can kind of do that same thing last year. He's not necessarily starting, but he can be like a rotational guy for them. Obviously, Winfield on defensive line. Tom's from multiple people, so he's a guy to keep an eye out for. They have guys, again, necessarily on defense. They may not start, but they will have a lot of contributors.
No doubt, no doubt. So look, before we got about 300 people in this chat, and before I open up the lines, I'm gonna put the link in the chat. You guys could, we only could get 10 in here at a time, but we're gonna open up the chat for questions in just a minute. Only thing we ask is that you just turn your camera off. So realistic expectations. I want to get into that real quick.
Yeah.
Do you think? I feel like, this is me personally, I feel like we could get some of these games at home. I felt like we were successful at home, Lincoln Riley, Oregon, Ohio State. So I want to know what you think and your realistic expectations.
Yeah, they're not going 12-0, so we can put that out there now. I know that's always the people get
right.
They're not going 12-0, right? I think we can just throw that out now, right? It's just, again, it's the schedule and all that, what they can do. So I'm not going to say 12-0. You brought up the big games that they're going to have. Everyone's always we're looking at the 3 games, right? We're looking at Indiana, Ohio State, and Oregon. We're looking at those 3 games. My guess, again, I don't think they're going to win all 3 of those. They can definitely be all competitive in all 3, but I do think that they can win. They'll win at least one of those. I already know now. Again, I'll pick that at a later date as we kind of get a little bit more information, but they're for sure going to win at least one of those, if not 2 of those. My guess right now is I'm going to say 10-2. Okay. As I'm talking right now on March 16th, I'm going to say 10-2.
That's good, because I'm thinking 11. I thought 11-1. Indiana was kind of, because it's on the road, I kind of felt different about that, so, and I'm still up in the air about that.
Yeah. I 10-2 gets you in the playoff, especially if they're going to have games, right? Penn State will probably be ranked by the time they play them. Washington will probably be ranked when they play them. Obviously, one of those 3 games. So they're going to have the regular teams that won 10 games that, if you play in a conference and you play 10 games and you'll make the playoff, they know what I'm talking about. But if they'll have quality wins, which is the big thing that we're looking at, they'll have the quality wins. So I think 10-2 definitely gets them in the playoff. That can transform everything for them. Obviously, we know that the factor that puts them in, but that's what a lot of these obviously recruits are looking for them. They see the upward trajectory, they see what's going on, but then when you actually have the playoff attached to them, that can transform the program in many ways that people, I don't think that they recognize what it can do for them.
No doubt. So look, we got a bunch of people in the chat, and I'm asking you guys to bear with me. Just try to keep your questions to maybe limited to maybe 5 minutes, just to give everybody opportunity, because I can only fit 10 people in the chat at one time. So we're going to take the first caller, man. The first caller is going to be Cardinal and Bold. Cardinal and Bold, how you doing?
Hey, what's going on, USCJ? Hey, what's up,
doing,
Kendall?
man?
What's going on?
So here's a quick question, man. I'm a big fan of Alex V coming in the transfer portal. Kendall, who is your kind of like dark horse performer amongst that transfer class? Like, for example, like Fisher. Not a lot of people are talking about the guy from Penn State. So who do you see as somebody who's going to contribute a lot that's kind of under the radar?
I like the Van Sumeren pick. I really like he's again, I don't know if he was a 2-year starter in Michigan State these past couple of years. I don't know if he starts, but he's what they needed, right? They need that like stout guy in the middle who can take on double teams, who can hold that line of scrimmage or essentially reset the line of scrimmage, which they didn't have at all last year, especially in the run game. Jones is a good, I like Skylar Jones and what he can do. Again, the veteran experience that these guys have. They're not just, saying we're grabbing guys and like we think that they become this, or we think that if they're in the program, we can make them this. Again, you want to elevate guys, but they're getting guys in that have the Power 4 experience that we know what they can be. And that's Van Sumeren. He's going to be stout for them. He's going to play whatever it is, 10 to 30 snaps a game, and just really provide that stout run defense that they've been missing the past couple of years. He's a really good pickup for them.
Yeah, man, I agree with you on that one. My last statement for you guys, I'm gonna be out of here. We're going undefeated at home.
Absolutely. I feel like
I'm just,
I'm agreeing with you on that.
yeah, I'm just putting that out there right now. We're going undefeated at home. Fight on. Good show. I'm out of
Hey,
here.
hey, fight on, fight on. All right, I'm gonna take this next one, but I'm gonna ask you this: why this one is in the chat? What position do you see Honor playing USC's latest commit?
Safety. I use this example. So if we remember Adoree Jackson, right?
Right.
He was a corner. We knew he was going to play corner, and then they had specific packages for him to give him the ball. He's not. I don't think anybody. He's not going to be a full-time player both ways. I don't think we're really going to see. I don't think we're really going to see somebody be like Travis Hunter as far as playing 110 snaps a game, which is kind of ridiculous. He was able to do it for as many games as he could. I just don't think that's kind of realistic for a lot of people. They'll use him for sure on offense. He's way too talented not to use on both sides of the ball. But I think he majors in safety and then minors at running. It might be more like a slot receiver or something like that, which is kind of what Adoree did. Just any way you can kind of get the ball in his hands. I don't necessarily if they're going to kind of handle the ball at running back, but because they'll have really good running backs kind of for that. But he is somebody that you want to use and just get the ball in their hands and see what he can do. But mainly safety and then packages on offense.
Absolutely, absolutely. I'm gonna take this next one. Russ, you're up. How you doing?
I'm good, man. Kendall, good to meet you, brother.
Yeah, you as well.
So yeah, man. On this because I've been super stoked about Arnafal Olave Johnson's his recruitment, and since you're kind of on the ground floor there, the way I feel about it is, I want him to play safety, but
yeah.
I want him to obviously be useful in the way Adoree Jackson was on offense. At running back, my concern is that, if you're going to bring in, you have to bring in a player enough times during a game where teams don't just like if you only bring him in 5 times a game, the team, when he comes in, is going to know, okay, 100% the ball's going to Honor. Let's just key on him. So you have to bring him in enough times where the defense can't just commit fully to stopping him as soon as he comes in the game. And, have you heard any talk, have you heard anything, from just being around the coaching staff, whatnot, like how they would plan to maybe sort of solve that? Because, from the slot, you can do it. I mean, Jay, you played running back growing up. It's different than playing receiver. If you line up in the backfield, you're taking a pop every single play. So it's not like you can, play like Travis Hunter as a running back. It's just too much physical damage. But yes, I mean, Kendall, I guess my question is have you heard anything how they, about them identifying that puzzle to solve, how they're going to work through that?
So most of that stuff is kind of going to be kept in-house because of the way that coaches aren't allowed to talk about recruits until they are officially on campus. So a lot of that's kind of especially right now in March, we'll probably get a little bit more information on that in the summer, especially when it comes to Texas official. So I can definitely keep you guys updated on that part when we get a little bit more information. They're going to kind of keep that a little bit under wraps just because of the recruiting rules. About what you said about just using him, obviously they're not going to use him every time he comes in. They're not going to automatically give him the ball, right? They can use him as a decoy, this and that. Maybe it's not 5 to my kind of range is 10 to 12. I think is a good spot for him on offense. Again, they're not going to be. It's not like he comes in 10 times and they're going to hand him the ball 10 times. You got to be. They're still going to. It's got to be within the flow of the offense. They're going to. I mean, they can. You can do so much with people backfield and anything. You can double screens to him. You can. A lot of Adoree was obviously a lot of fly sweeps or just getting him out on the perimeter, which is where you want him. You don't want him in the box too much, right? Because he'll be an important part of them on defense, and you don't want him taking all of those hits. So any kind of way you can get him the ball in space, and obviously with the RPO packages that Riley likes to use, he could be not necessarily a decoy, but obviously involved in that part. But yeah, my kind of guess would be if he is kind of what we think, that it'd be probably the 10 to 12 kind of play range for him.
Yeah, no, that makes sense, man. And then just one more, man. I was super excited when we got Josiah Jefferson. You just feel there's Bowman is so talented, but being able to block at in the Big Ten, it's just a different animal. I don't care how talented you are. So I think that Jefferson is going to have an opportunity to be pretty productive this year. Has he been has he been looking good in practice? Like what was, what's his playing time, and what do you project that to be?
Yeah, so he moves very, very good. The interesting part with Jefferson, he's really raw. He didn't really play high school football until like his senior year. He's more of a basketball guy, which I think is also big. I mean, look at all the great tight ends throughout NFL history that have a tight end background. The big thing I think for him is that he has somebody like Chad Savage, and we saw his development, what he did with McCree and how much more athletic that he was and how better he moved, and obviously what Lions did last year too. So I think that's the big part for him. As far as the shakeup, I mean, obviously Bowman's going to start. My guess is Ashcraft has a good role because of his blocking ability. And Bell is an interesting guy. Came back last year. I know they were big on him because of just the way that he progressed. The tight end room is really going to be interesting. I think with Jefferson, I guess it's where he's at in his development by the time they get to fall camp. And if he's like kind of, again, the big thing is that he's raw. He just hasn't played a lot of football yet, but the athletic ability is definitely there. We saw a clip of him blocking, so he's not afraid to be physical. And I think if he can kind of put on a little bit more weight, I think he's only around like 235 is what they have him listed as, not that heavy. So if he can kind of be a little bit, they can kind of get him. I mean, he has time. If they can kind of get him more into that 240 range, he can be a better spot. But he's a threat for sure. He's what they need.
Awesome, man. Well, hey, Jay, it's good linking up again. I'll make sure to catch the next one. I'm going to clear out so other people come in, but fight on, boys. Good to meet you, Kendall.
Hey, thank you. Yeah, thank you very much. I appreciate you, Russ. Let's see. Mitchell.
How we doing, guys? Fight on.
Hey, how you doing?
Oh, pretty good. How's it going, Kendall? Kendall,
I'm good.
Good show. I just want to ask about defensive lines to be really good this year. So I agree we could win 10 games. I love it. Glad the freshmen are coming in. They're going to be playing, of course. That's what I meant. And how much you think Crawford, actually Mr. Fountain, but Mr. Cam Crawford, do you think he play all over the line, or he's just strictly a defensive end?
Sorry, say the second part again.
Oh, Crawford, Fountain, the guy. He's been Cam Crawford. He used to be Fountain. It was his last name. Used to be. Can he play all over the line, because it's really packing that defensive line? We got a lot of. I think we have like 8-10 guys in the rotation. You think, Jay? And I hope we get Jones to get some playing time, play more than 4 games, have some where you can have an opportunity to pass the ball. So, and he doesn't redshirt and it doesn't pull a like Longstreet Street. And I'm hoping Jalen doesn't get hurt and everything. Thanks for taking my call. I understand. I understand how I convey my thoughts here, so I want other guys to get a chance.
You're good. Thank you for your question. We're going to answer it real. He's going to answer it real quick for you. Thank you very much, Mitchell.
You fight on. Thank you.
Yeah. Hey, fight on. Okay.
Yeah. I think Crawford's he's starting to scratch the surface a little bit. There's been really, really good reviews of him coming out of the spring. The big thing for him is I think getting more pass rush moves. Which is big for him. I talked to somebody that's close to him, and I know he's going to be working with a specialist in the summer to kind of get better at that part of his game. I think now he's got the experience. He's been around for a little bit, for a couple of years now. We've seen the transformation that he's done with his body. He's somebody I think is ends up being like a high, I don't know, maybe if he can become a day 1 pick, but I see like a day 2 pick.
I like him. I like him a lot.
Yeah, he can do. I think he's the guy that ends up leading them in sacks this next year. He had 5.5 last year. I think the big thing for him is, again, showing up a little bit more in those big games. He's good against the run. He's really strong against the run, especially setting the edge and stuff like that. Again, if he can develop more pass rush moves and a little bit more consistent, which has kind of been a focus for him, he's got some of the run defense down. If he can get that part of his game, he can be a high draft pick, and then obviously we know what that means for USC's defense.
No, I like him. So Cam Crawford and Braylon Shelby, you think they're going to be playing opposite of each other, or do you think they'll be playing on that same? Because Anthony Lucas last year played on that other side where Cam Crawford played at. So how do you see that working out? And then I think you mentioned Luke. You might have mentioned Luke Wayful, but man,
Yeah.
how do you see that working out as far as the opposite of sides?
I think they do at least to start the season. That's kind of what the defensive line I think looks like. If I had to guess today what the starting defensive line looks like, it'd be Shelby and Crawford on the outside, and then Stewart and Abasiri in the middle. Again, Wayful could end up starting at some point of the season. He's like a Bosa reincarnated. It's like
it's crazy. That's crazy.
It's insane. He's like I still can't believe when I seen him the first time he walked out. I'm like, that's a freshman. Like,
somebody told me they saw him the other day. They was there last weekend. They said, Jay, man, they say even his jaw is just big. He said everything about him is just. It was like, man, this dude is just massive of a guy, man. Just to be a freshman, he doesn't even look like a freshman.
He looks like a 4-year vet in the NFL. Like, it's insane. He's got the veins popping out of his biceps because he's so chiseled. He's obviously those guys that Ohio State's had for years coming off the edge, what's it called? Or Michigan, that the teams that have won the Big Ten at a high level. Like, he's that guy that they've been missing. That the ceiling is incredibly high for him. Like, these are guys that they would have never got a year ago. Bowden wasn't here, or the defensive staff kind of was in place, or the front office. And they're going to keep going more guys like that. I think he's kind of putting on notice again for some of these guys. So like Mekhi Brown was out here. He's a top 50 recruit in the 27 cycle. He was out here last week. And I think that what Wayful can do this year can have an impact on some of the recruiting on the East Coast, and kind of,
absolutely.
We know what they had in the past, right? Jarrett, Cushing. There's obviously talent out there in that part of the country, and I think they can start getting some more of those guys.
Absolutely. Let's take this next one. Stephon, how you doing?
What's the deal, USCJ, man? What's going on, fellas?
Hey, how you doing, man?
Oh, man, I can't call. I'm just hanging in there, man. I'm just excited for this up-and-coming season, man. We got coming up. I'm ready for the boys to, man, make the playoffs, and let's do our thing once we get in these playoffs. Because once you get in the playoffs, it's everybody's 0-0, man, and anything can goes.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
Do you have any questions, man? And I want to know what your expectations are too, your record wise. But do you have any questions for Kendall?
Just as far as like, what do you in your opinion, what freshman do you see? I don't know if somebody asked you this already or not, but what freshman like stand out? I know a lot of people have been saying Luke, but like besides him and I think Booby Feaster or somebody they be saying, but like in your opinion, what freshman do you think that's gonna touch the field first?
Yeah, so there's been a lot of names that have been brought up. I can kind of talk about a little bit. Obviously Mosley and Dixon Wyatt have been standouts at receiver. I know Coach Riley's talking very highly about Luke Weaver since he's got here. He's kind of flying a little bit under the radar, just because of some of the other guys that they brought in. Deshaun Rideau got a lot of big reviews, especially that their first couple of days that they have pads on. I like what he can do as far as their depth in the running back room. Rock Hill has been excellent. We've all seen the clips of him on social media and just quick feet. He's a ball hawk in high school. He could end up being one of the returners. Honestly, he's that good of an athlete. He's a guy that you also want to get the ball to out there. Madden Riordan is a guy that everybody knows. USC that follows USC recruiting. He's a guy that we all can't believe remained a 3-star.
Right.
Phenomenal All-American the last 3 years. I got, I think it was this past Wednesday. I got about like 3 texts about Riordan about the day he had out there.
I did too, man.
He has
a knack for the ball though. He did it in high school. It's something about him, and he's not the biggest guy, but it's something about he knows how to just be around the ball at all times.
High football IQ. He's got a great feel for the game. He's another guy. He has a quarterback background a little bit. He knows, again, like, if the big thing for him is continue to add on straight in weight. I think he's only about 170 pounds. That'll come. Again, he's already put on plenty of weight since he's got there, but he's a guy that I want to make sure gets plenty of love because he's flying a little bit under the radar. Tom, I brought him up. I got a lot of texts about Tom, especially those first couple of days that they were on practice. Guys that have shown up, and the term that I keep hearing over and over again with the freshman group is alphas, that they've been alphas since the moment they walked on campus. They're calling people out in practice, their intensity, they're walking in like veterans. And it's not like a cockiness. It's like, again, like they know how talented they are, and we all
they know what they're capable of doing.
Right.
Yeah, and they're just elevating the level of competitiveness in practice because, again, like so does the upperclassmen. They kind of know a little bit about like what's coming in. What's
okay. There you go.
Like that. I think that's just raising the.
Well, you know what they say, iron sharpens iron or whatever. I forget this one kid. Actually, my girl, her daughter, that's her cousin, but Taylor out of Cajon, man. Yeah, I think he ain't gonna be ready maybe next year, but I think that the next year, the following year, his sophomore year, he a dog too, though. You know, people sleeping on him or whatever. And if we can get with somebody to get with that kid out of Fremont, man, that's a big kid, man. And get somebody, get him, put some loving in him, and get with him. Man, he gonna be a dog too if he, you know, and just get in that weight room and get stronger. And you know, he already got size on him, so and he get in that weight room and put that weight on. I mean, it's all uphill for him. And that's all I wanted to really say, man. And one more thing, like, what do you, as far as a need that we need to fill, what do you think right now? Not later on, but like this up and coming season, where do we feel like we need to fill, like a position that we need to fill in?
Safety.
Okay.
Yeah.
You feel the same way, Jay?
They lost Ramsey.
Yeah.
They lost Ramsey and Fitzgerald, and then they didn't add anybody in the transfer portal.
Right.
Urlacher and Pierce are going to end up being their starters. And then right now they're trying to create a little bit of depth. So Prophet Brown has been taking a lot of reps at safety. Tristan Castro has been taking a lot more reps at safety to get him to see if they can get him on the field a little bit. Who else is playing? D. Reddick had played a lot of nickel last year. He's playing more safety this spring. So they're trying to create a little bit more of that depth. They're going to put an emphasis on that in recruiting. Obviously, Falavi Johnson is a big one for that, and Gavin Williams is big on their radar. But I think they're going to put emphasis.
Hello, y'all still there? Okay, there it goes. It froze a little bit.
No,
when I say about like, there's a lot of guys like Payne Dyer is playing a lot of nickel. He can end up playing safety. Joshua Holland is end up playing nickel right now. He can another guy that can end up playing safety. So it's not like you look at the recruiting, like a lot of it says corner, but they have a lot of versatility within those guys that kind of move around a little bit.
Right.
Alex Graham obviously end up playing safety too. Like they don't have it. It doesn't look the greatest right now as far as some of the other depth position, but they have guys that they can move around that kind of feel that a little bit.
Okay, well, that's all I wanted to say, and I feel like to answer your question, Jay, I say either 11-1 or 12-0, man. I really feel that, and I feel that personally. Like, I really think we can do that. You know what I'm saying? And I also want to shout out USC baseball because they balling right now. And you know, my girl Juju will be back next year. So for them girls, UCLA and all that clowning they was doing, because I was looking at them, they was clowning on the sideline. So we'll be back in the fold on the other stuff too, though. But shout out, man. Fight on, y'all. That's all I want to say.
Hey, fight on. Don't sleep on them.
All right.
That girl's playing Clemson this weekend. All right, fight on. And I want to ask you something. Hey, Young Tiny, welcome to the show. But real quick, I want to ask you about that star position, Kendall. How do you see that position working out? Do you see it? And I know Alex Graham it's kind of like a nickel slat, but they want somebody to play to the line of scrimmage. How do you see that working out as far as that position?
That's Alex Graham through and through. I think that's the big part. Again, I think that goes back to him adding. Again, I think if anybody sees him in around campus or in the fall, like he looks dramatically different. It's insane, like how much bigger he looks, how good.
So
he's
would you
moving.
say he picked up weight, or he's just more defined, more mature? How would you?
Everything. Yeah, both of them. He already came in as a high IQ person, and I think having Gary Patterson, you could tell, especially him and Gonzalez and Carter, how much emphasis they are putting on, eye discipline for him and good communication that are really, really hard, specifically because of what he can do. But again, like as far as like putting on mass, like he's just like bigger in the upper body and all that weight. He knows he's going to be playing again more to the line of scrimmage because of what that role. And again, look at Brian Branch. I think he can, for what he did for Alabama, what he's done for Detroit. I think he's that kind of player for them.
Absolutely. I totally agree. Young Tiny, welcome to the show, man. What's your question, man? And I know you got all types of questions, man. This my guy, Young Tiny, right here for Kendall, man. What you got, Young Tiny?
Shout out Kendall. I don't really got no question. You know what I'm saying? I don't have no questions, but you know, I'm just here to support and get some feedback on something or how I feel. But I don't have no question for Kendall
Okay. What you got? What
necessarily.
you got for?
Necessarily. No, I appreciate who was that the last caller, Al Stefan shouting
Uh-huh.
out Tay. You know what I'm saying? Because I feel like he slept on, but I could also what Kendall just said about the build that Alex Graham, man, that off season workout, man, the winter workouts really benefited him, man. That being in that college program, being in the program for a year, man, he grew so much like girth, like that man strength, that bigness. So everything he was just saying was just on point with that.
Yeah,
You know what I'm
yeah.
saying? And
Yeah,
I heard they've been playing three people at that. You know, I heard it been three consistent at that position right now. Alex Graham, Isaiah Rubin, and Peyton Dyer, I think,
yeah.
if I'm not mistaken. I could be
Mhm.
wrong, but yeah, those the three that I heard really been working out at that position. But yeah, what he just said was spot on, man.
Yeah, those three
I
and
still
Holland and
yes,
Joshua Holland
yeah,
too was another
yeah,
one.
Holland, Joshua Holland too.
I
Yes,
forgot about
sorry
Josh.
about that.
I really liked him.
Yeah,
I think he's kind of a go under the radar type of guy. I really
Yeah,
like Josh Holland, man.
100%. Yeah,
yeah,
the thing, the Graham too is like I've gotten a few because
Come back.
are new. He's like, I don't know who number 7 is, but that dude's different. And I've gotten that
Yeah,
from a couple different people that have watched practice.
and that's Alex Graham.
yeah,
Yeah. No, I like that. I
yeah.
like that. That's good stuff. Good stuff.
Yeah, I love the deaf, man. Kendall, and I know you could attest to this, man. I just love like the last two recruiting classes. Of course, we had the number one recruit class for 26, but the little gems that we got in 25 class added with the 26 class, added on to our already people on the roster, man. I'm just so I'm like so optimistic that, man, this is it. And you know what I mean? Like I love the deaf, man. We all could attest to every position group. I think the only position group that's probably like respectfully set at the top besides quarterback is running back. You know what I'm saying? But
Mhm.
I feel like it's so much depth in them other positions and the competition and the aspect of getting back to like competing and people really trying to work for a spot. You know what I mean? I mean, of course, Tanuk is probably penciled in, and you know you could probably go Terrell Anderson too. But I feel like Josiah Jefferson is being slept on. You know what I mean? By a lot of people as far as that you know what I mean coming in because losing Walker Lyons and as well as our other tight end, that was a lot of production as far as pass receiving from the tight end position. But I feel like Josiah Jefferson is flying under the radar to the mass of the fans, not to the people that's tapped in, but like to in comparison, just say to a Mark Bowman, respect to him, being a 5-star modern day $6 million guy. Like I feel like Josiah Jefferson is being slept on too by a lot. You know what I mean? And I'm happy that somebody earlier brought up Tom because we're actually deep in that interior. You know what I mean? But I feel like Michigan State transfer Alex, I feel like he's going to be big for us respectfully. I feel like Josh Jarrett is going to have a lot to say about that zero tech. You know what I mean? Bar he stays healthy and I don't know, man. I just feel good, man. I feel like people are going to be in the right positions. I feel like what the coaches are saying, I feel like our edges are going to actually get after the quarterback and not drop back into coverage. You know what I mean? So that'll benefit Cam Crawford and a Braylon Shelby more. But I still feel like the boy going to probably end up starting. Because I know I heard Jay earlier saying, man, you think they're going to play on the same side or are they going to – but I think it's going to be rotation. But at the same time, I feel like the hot hand is going to play, if that makes sense to y'all.
No, 100%. You brought up the 25. They got some sleepers. Like we all saw Tanuk last year. We saw Jakeem Stewart.
Yes.
Corey Stevens is a guy that I've heard a lot about over the past couple of weeks. His name's been brought up plenty of times. RJ Sermons. I'm a big RJ Sermons guy. He's
Yes,
kind of in that Rock Hill boat where his technique is very advanced for his age. He's another guy who looks bigger than when he arrived on campus. And I think this past year, especially for Sermons, was really, really important because he knew that he wasn't necessarily going to play this past year. It was more of like, instead of playing the senior high school, let me go to USC and develop with Coach Reed and Coach True for a year, so that by the time this spring, which is where we're right now, he'll be ready to hit the ground running. You kind of see that a little bit this year. Coach Reed always speaks glowingly about just Sermon's work ethic, and obviously another former 5-star recruit. We know what he can do. Floyd Boucard is a guy that we have expectations for on the interior that take that another step. Again, I'll bring up with Jefferson. He's really, really interesting because just how raw he is. Still kind of new to football, still in the ropes. But if you want to coach to develop you, just Savage is the one to have. We saw what he did for Makai Lemon in his heading room last year. He's huge for them. There's a lot of, you brought up the interior. If they can be more stout, that's the big thing. If they can be stout in the middle, just if they can, this was the thing that they struggled with against Notre Dame, the thing that they struggled against Oregon and Illinois. They were getting moved around a little bit too much. If they can be just even more stout in the interior and they can reset the line of scrimmage, the linebackers are going to flourish. I know everybody wants to see more production of the linebackers, but if you're better on the interior, you brought up Jaw. If he can be that guy who just holds down the middle,
Right.
Winfield, Tom, like there's a lot of size. If those guys flourish, you're going to see a lot more production of Stevens and Walkers next year.
Absolutely. Hey, man. Hey, so, Young Tiny, I appreciate you, man. I'm going to take a couple more calls, and then we're going to get Kendall out of here, man. This hour went by extremely fast. 56 minutes. That's crazy. So, yeah, Young Tiny, I appreciate you. I'm going to take a couple of more, and we're going to get out of here. Kendall out of here. We don't want to hold him up all night. I want to shout out. Oh, Young Tiny, any last thing you want to say? He might have dropped off. Okay, he dropped off. Okay, I want to shout out Seekers to Abundant Living. Amy, thank you. Look, I was just on Amy's show just the other day, and I gave my personal testimony, man. You guys might not know all about me, but Amy, if you could put the link in the chat, I would definitely appreciate it, to where they can go straight to your show and watch it. But I had an opportunity to be on her show. She has a phenomenal show. She's a USC alum. She's had Max Brown, different people, Marvin Powell III, different people on her show, and she's doing a phenomenal job. So shout out to Amy, and thank you. Let me get this next one. Infinite Moolah, how you doing?
Hey, what's going on, Jay? How you feeling?
I'm good, man. How you doing?
Everything's everything. I came on a little last but no. What's going on with my guy Isaiah Rubin? I ain't heard too much about him. Is he competing for a spot or what's going on?
Yeah, absolutely. He competes for a spot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
yeah.
What do you plan on playing him at?
Nickel. He's playing a lot of nickel. He's got. I've got some really good feedback on Rubin this past couple of years. You always like guys that stick around, right? He hasn't necessarily played a lot. He was a good special teams contributor last year. You always like those guys that stick around and fight through adversity, or trying to get their way on the field and just keep learning. So I think, again, like Carter and Gonzalez are big for him. There's been good things about him in the spring, and my guess is he probably ends up backing up Alex Graham this year.
Okay.
Absolutely.
All right.
What else you got? What else you got for Kendall, man? Kendall, I mean, you might as well ask him why he's here. He's been on the program, man. I mean, he's been out there at practice. He writes for USC. So what other questions you might have for him?
I got a log jam right now in my mind, man. But I appreciate it though.
Hey, I appreciate you, man. So we got one more, and then we're gonna get out of here. Conrad Myers, how you doing?
I'm doing good.
Oh, is this the 11-year-old that always calls in?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my God. What you got for Kendall, man? Look, Kendall writes for USC, man, and he's at practice all the time. So I need you to get these questions together. You got them together?
Oh yeah, I do. I have one question about Lincoln Riley.
Yeah.
Do you compare him to Mike McDaniel? Because Lincoln Riley is an offensive guru, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you have Mike McDaniel, also an offensive guru. Do you think he relates to Mike McDaniel, like coaching style?
No, I understand the connection though, as far as they're heavy offensive minded. Mike McDaniel was, I guess, as a head coach, he was more of just like a glorified offensive coordinator. I don't ever felt like he set a culture in Miami, which kind of felt like a problem for them for years. With Lincoln, like he's a real like CEO of a program. He makes smart decisions around him as far as recruiting, hiring the right people, and I think that's kind of the big difference between him and McDaniel.
Do you think that Lincoln Riley needs a offensive coordinator? Like he could call the plays sometimes. Like we could bring in a offensive coordinator to call the plays for like big plays. Like because I want to win a championship, and
Mm-hmm.
like I don't think Lincoln Riley has the good enough play calls to do that.
Is yeah, it's will they ever bring an offense coordinator to Lincoln Riley? I highly doubt it. I think he comes from the Mike Tree coaching tree. I don't think that's ever going to happen. Ideally, would you like him to? Yes, because I think it allows you to focus more on just the overall game. And we've seen great. I mean, Ryan Day did it at Ohio State, right? He was the offensive coordinator that got promoted to head coach at Ohio State, and he's a guy who eventually gave up play calling duty. And I don't think we've had, if I remember seeing this right, I don't think we've had a team that won a national championship, at least like in the last like 15 or 20 years, where their head coach was calling the plays. If I remember that correctly, I don't think that's been the case. So I understand
talking defense
on offense, as far as offensive
I thought we
coordinator.
were talking defense.
Are you talking defense?
I thought we were talking about that because Pete Carroll.
That's different.
And
No,
all that.
those are different. Yeah, offense like calling the offensive plays versus like being the head coach. I don't think we've had in recent memory a guy who's won the national championship. Somebody can obviously fact check me on that, but I don't think that we have, because I know Ryan Day was the big one and he gave up control of that. Again, probably, but I don't think that's going to happen.
So, Conrad, look, I appreciate you, man. Shouldn't you be getting where are you at? I can't remember where you at. Where are you located?
San Diego.
Oh, okay,
That's
okay. Hey! I hope you did that homework, man. I hope you staying focused.
I am.
All right. How's that channel doing?
I have 126 subscribers right now.
All right. Make sure you put the
That's
link in the
what's up.
chat and let everybody subscribe to it. Every time you come on, you're more than welcome to put your link to your channel in my chat so everybody can subscribe. All right.
All right,
my man. Hey, take care. All right.
All right. Bye.
All right. We're gonna get.
Yeah.
Hey, let me shout out Ryan, man, from USC LAFB. He's also a credential media guy. Him and Kendall. If you guys would have asked me, the two guys that I probably pay attention the most to, it's probably Kendall and Ryan. I look at Ryan. I watch Ryan on his show sometime. I've been on his show before. He's been on here. So shout out to Ryan.
That's my guy.
Absolutely. Ryan, a good dude, man.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
He is. Now he does a phenomenal job. Tap in with him for sure.
Absolutely. So look, we are going to get out of here, man. This has been fun, Kendall. It's been like an hour and 3 minutes, man. I can't even believe that. But time flies by. But there it is right there. You guys make sure you subscribe to that, to Glowing Samoan. That's his channel. So look, until later on. Hey, Kendall, what's the last thing you want to leave with us, man? Hey, absolutely, Ryan. Appreciate you, man.
Yeah.
What's the last thing you want to leave with the Trojan family, man?
Yeah, dude. Hey, I appreciate you having me on, man. This is a blessing. I'm always glad to come and talk some SC football and share what I know or what I've seen and all that kind of stuff. And you can find me on Twitter, _. Put videos from practice, just my analysis, articles, recruiting, just latest updates. Go ahead and find me on that. And then I write for USC Chosen on SI, so go check out our page. Stay up to date. We all do a phenomenal job. So again, man, I can't thank you enough for having me on. Like, you're the legend, man. Everybody knows USCJ around the community, bro. Everybody comes in, they're tapping in. I can see how much love the fan base has for you just today. Again, I'm hoping that we can do this again, man. This was awesome.
Hey, man. Hey, you could be a regular. I got big love for you, Kendall. You don't even know. This is the first time, but I've been tapping in with you for a long time, man. Trust me. So
that's what's up, man. I love this. I'm a SoCal kid, man. I grew up watching USC. This is a blessing, man. All of it.
Absolutely. So look, so this won't be Kendall's last time, man. You guys heard it here first. So until later on, listen, we appreciate everybody for tapping in, man. We got almost 350 people in here. Appreciate everybody for coming on. Those who are on Twitter, make sure you guys come on and hit the subscribe button, man. We try to open it up for Twitter so everybody can know that we're on, but we want you guys to come over and subscribe, man. So we appreciate everybody, man. And until later on, listen, everybody stay blessed. We are out of here, man. David says, fight on, Kendall. Fight on.